Hello and welcome, I'm Carl the Landscape Guy. Today I'm planting a tree and will be showing you step by step exactly how I do it. This video is applicable to almost all trees. Today I'm planting a walnut tree of the variety Mars, which was not available from the surrounding nurseries. Therefore, I ordered it online. The tree was delivered in this package and I want to see how the tree endured. So far it looks healthy, no dry leaves or twisted branches. The pot is protected from drying out with this bag. Here we have the label, it is the variety Mars, and the growth habit is Heister, which is German for Feathered Maiden. That means it has a main trunk with several branches. The height is between 200 and 250 centimeters, but we will measure that in a minute. I received this delivery at the beginning of autumn, and the tree started its fall coloring the day after delivery. The tree was probably not grown outside at the nursery and is therefore not yet used to cooler temperatures. The branching of the small feathered maiden already starts at a low height, which for me personally doesn't fit well to the area where it will be planted. The tree is supposed to contribute to the generous park character of the property, therefore it shouldn't be a bush, but a tree with a trunk and crown. Thus, I will now remove the branches in order to foster the height growth first. It is important to cut as close as possible to the trunk so that the tree can quickly regrow over the wounds. I try to carry out such measures when the tree is young, because the branches are still thin and the wounds are small. In smaller gardens, it may make sense to plant trees with lower branches, but in the end it's a question of taste. I could have ordered a standard tree right away, which has no lower branches, but these are comparably more expensive. Now I measure the height starting from the surface of the dirt, and it is under 1.5 meters. Therefore I have to say that the measured size does not correspond to the description, but that's not really a problem for me right now. I have waited to plant this tree for about half a year, and now the tree looks like this. With strong, fresh, large green leaves, it has already grown about 50 centimeters. Young walnut trees can be sensitive to frost. Particularly late frost can be a big problem. Since it's a potted tree, I was able to keep it in the greenhouse during winter. If you plant a tree without a pot, for example baled or bare rooted, this should be done outside the growing season, which is after leaf shedding in autumn or before budding in spring. I have fertilized it with some complete fertilizer and horn shavings. Here we see the grafting place where the Mars variety was grafted onto the rootstock. For comparison, this one here is a rather fresh grafting place. The grafting place can be a high-risk area for instability or fungal infection in young trees. The one from our tree has already grown together very well. Now in late spring, the nights are frost-free and the tree can finally be planted. When choosing the location, a distance to other trees and shrubs should be considered. Further back, there is already another young walnut tree that will spread its crown in all directions. For the Mars variety, I'm assuming a crown diameter of at least 10 meters. So the distance to older shrubs should not be less than 5 meters. I have been thinking about the location for quite a while because the tree will stand here for a very long time. Once the location is chosen, you can start digging the hole. To start, I make a ring around the pot double the diameter of the pot, so here about the width of the spade. All tools and materials used can be found in the description section. Now the turf is being removed. I pack everything directly into the wheelbarrow so that the lawn stays clean and I can take the grass straight to the compost area. Now the planting hole can be dug. The topsoil here is very rich in humus with a high organic content. In the wheelbarrow, I break up hard lumps and mix the organic topsoil with the sandier soil from underneath. I loosen the soil in the planting hole at least 2 spades deep. Now the pot comes off and I make sure that the roots, especially on the underside of the pot, point or hang straight down. If the tree has been in the same pot for a while and has developed intertwined roots, they should be broken up or cut to avoid further root binding. This can stimulate even root growth in all directions and increase the stability later. The root ball sits too deep, so I fill the planting hole with some soil from the wheelbarrow. I place it about 4 centimeters above the height of the lawn. Nut trees, like many other tree species, do not like waterlogging. This lawn tends to be quite wet in winter, so planting the tree slightly elevated helps it to cope better with moisture. I align the tree as straight as possible and start to refill soil around the root ball. If the soil is very sandy or poor in nutrition, some potting soil can be mixed in here. Pressing down the loose soil is very important. Not only does this give the tree stability, but slightly compacted soil also encourages the roots to grow into it. To secure the tree, I place 2 tree posts. Here you can see what can happen when it's not secured. The newly planted tree does not have enough roots or trunk circumference to keep it straight. The tree can bend from wind and grow crooked. The posts are placed outside the root ball to avoid damaging it. I use these 175 by 8 centimeter plastic posts, which I have left over from a fence. Of course, you can also use wooden posts. I've had good experiences with these recycled posts because they do not rot and can be used again and again. I use this protective cap with the sledgehammer to drive the posts into the ground. The post is driven slightly diagonally away from the tree. I'll talk about why in a minute. The second post comes directly opposite so that the tree is centered between the posts. It is important not to damage the crown of the tree with the hammer. I make sure the posts are at the same height. And now I use about 8 meters of this 8mm thick coconut yarn. I double the yarn and put the end loop around one of the posts. Then I wrap the doubled yarn twice around the posts and the tree. Now I can pull the yarn taut so that the posts are straight. The ground is quite soft here and these posts are a little flexible. For harder ground or wooden posts, I would only set the post at a slight angle. Now you can see how I wrap the coconut string around relatively tight. I make sure that the little tree trunk lies in the middle of the posts. Around the trunk area, I leave enough space for the tree's trunk to grow. The coconut yarn is beneficial to use because it doesn't cut into the young tree bark. Thinner ties or wire would only injure the tree. I have also used thicker nylon rope before, which also works. But here you have to be careful with the growth of the tree trunk. The nylon does not rot in contrast to coconut yarn, and if you just leave it on here, the tree will most likely have a problem later. The little trunk is still relatively thin and flexible, so I left the bamboo stick on. And I can secure the small crown with a 3mm hollow rubber twine to the bamboo pole. It is protected against bending and the leading shoot will later form a nice straight trunk, which is not only visually appealing, but also helps the tree to build up a secure overall balance and stability. We still have some soil left in the wheelbarrow. With this, I now form a watering channel around the tree. I now put a meter-long bark protector around the trunk. This protects our little tree from deer and rabbits and other things that might damage it. The roots are still very compact in the root ball, so it is important that the water drains away exactly where it can be absorbed. The generous watering also ensures that the roots are surrounded with soil at the new location and thus achieve proper contact with the soil material. Based on experience, the tree should be watered regularly about 1 year, especially during dry periods. A change of location is rather unnatural for a tree. Therefore, in my opinion, it is important to use these methods to make it easier for the tree to grow and adapt. There are other tree staking options, for example with the help of a wooden tripod. This type of attachment is suitable for larger trees that need more stability. Some use only one post for small trees, but here I see the problem that the tree can easily hit against the post under windy conditions. With the tree staking method I've shown, however, the tree is gently secured between the posts. The shown planting method has proven successful and I hope this video was helpful. This walnut tree will later not only offer a pleasant light shade due to its large pinnate leaves, but after only a few years you can already expect walnuts because a grafted walnut tree carries much faster than a seedling. I have already planted many trees and it's fun every time. This tree will probably outlive our lives, but hopefully it will give many people not only shade, but also joy, clean air, hope, and a few nuts. Thank you very much for planting the tree with me. I wish you luck with your projects. See you soon. I'm Carl, the Landscape Guy.